Hey guys, welcome to another New World video. In today's video, I wanted to continue updating my crafting guides. I had put this off for some time and my current guides are way out of date. But the reason I hadn't updated them until now was because they made so many changes to the crafting system almost every patch since last summer. But now I think we're at a spot where I can update them in a more final, meaningful way. At least for a while. And let's be honest, there really isn't a whole lot else going on in New World right now. So what better time to get this done? So in this one, we will be updating engineering. So let's get into it. Engineering in New World is a crafting skill that is most commonly associated with ammo, and of course ranged weapons. But there is so much more to this skill, and based on many of the comments I get, many of these are overlooked. So yes, ammunition and ranged weapons are crafted by engineers at the workshop. But engineering also can be used at the forge, because along with all the various ranged weapons, you as an engineer will be the guy crafting the spears and hatchets in New World as well. Weapons and ammunition are of course two of the things most people in New World initially see, as they are the backbone of the game and combat. But later, when you are geared and more comfortable as an engineer, you will also begin to focus on other things like high quality tools with perks we all desire, proficiency potions to of course increase our yields while gathering as well. So you see, the potential this skill has to both improve your own progress and make you coin is just amazing, and a skill I recommend anyone max. So let's look at how we're going about maxing it, while trying to keep it as efficient and painless as possible. So for the leveling. So this section is going to be quite different than it had been in the past. Generally with New World, we would break down the crafting into sections 0 to 50, 100 to 150, stuff like that. Then list the most efficient and cheapest way to reach each benchmark before moving on to the next tier. Well, with all the changes they have made over the past few months, this has completely changed. Not quite as much as it had with armoring when it comes to engineering, but still quite different. While recording this video with my new character, I gave it 20k coin to get started, and of course I ran some tests on just how much more effective these new ways of leveling engineering would be. And after 2 hours, I was 200 engineering. This time I had 2600 coin roughly to spare, and that was with buying everything right from the market. So although engineering isn't quite as easy and efficient as armoring with these changes, it is still so much easier than it was in the past. The real painful part of engineering in the past has always been the 150 to 200 section. Well, this has changed in many ways. However, this time you will still have to do some grinding. It is now much less materials, much less time, and much less coin. So what you will be doing is quite simple. When you decide you would like to start your engineering, just start at the top and make one of everything. And be sure to not forget the hatchets and spears. These are made in the forge and are engineering also. So make those for the most experience. With the 3 times crafting bonus you now get for the first time crafts coupled with 5% experience you get from Monarch's Fort, you will fly through the levels. What really cements this though is that there are so many more artifact sets now, with the addition of the Empyrean Forge, the Ennead, and even Tempest. Making one of each of these artifacts will give you ridiculous amounts of engineering experience for very little cost. Now again, it won't be as crazy as armoring, because in the case of engineering, you only have 5 items per artifact set to craft, where with armoring you had 15. But it is still very important. Now, as many of you mentioned on my armoring guide, you may be a solo player and won't be able to run expeditions. And if this is the case, you can very easily purchase the artifact items for very little coin on the market, which of course will get these made. There are also a few other tricks now. With the addition of these new guaranteed 600 patterns that you get from events, and the fact that they require 0 engineering, this can be a quick but not cheap way to get a ton of levels fast. I wouldn't however recommend this as a good way to level though, especially with engineering. But if you're planning on making them anyhow for your character, why not get more for your investment? Now, unfortunately, this won't get you all the way to 200. You will hit the wall at about 180, and this is where your market on the server will become important. You basically have 2 options at this point. You can either make orichalcum blunderbusses or ironwood fishing rods. Some people like to make spears, as I have in the past, but in today's market, I find the fishing poles to be the best option as an alternative to spears. The reason is simple. You will be making the fishing poles with rare tier 5 wood, because of course it's cheaper by miles than ironwood planks. Then, upon making them, you will filter through for fishing poles that might potentially have good perks, which then can be sold for easy coin or of course salvaged for scrap. These poles will then salvage to ironwood planks, which you can then sell. Then use this coin to purchase more rare tier 5 woods. I have found I make much more from epic fishing poles with good perks than I ever could make simply by grinding out spears for scrap. But this will all depend on your server, and depend heavily on whether rare wood is cheaper or the rare ores are cheaper. This will be what decides whether to make blunderbusses or fishing poles. Be sure to check those when you finish up with your first time crafts. So, now that you've made one of everything and you've reached 180, let's just say you're going to make blunderbusses. You will need to craft 200 orichalcum blunderbuss. For this, you will need 1800 Tier 5 rare metal, cinnabar or tolvium, 1800 petrified wood or timber, and 400 coarse leather. Now, do not buy all of these materials, buy them in parts, because the raw numbers often do not paint a clear picture of the reality. You'll be getting back materials from salvaging, you'll be getting engineering fragments used for additional experience gains, so the reality will be up to 25% less or even more. Now, if you decide to go the fishing rod route, you will need 3000 Tier 5 wood, wildwood or barb vine of course, 600 coarse leather, and 400 linen. Now, after crafting these rods, be sure to check any epic ones you craft before salvaging. The gear score doesn't matter when it comes to the value of fishing rods, it's about the perks. And there's a decent chance you could hit something like this, which will make you a significant amount of coin while leveling. I also want to point out for potential newer players out there, often a recipe will call for a Tier 5 material or whatever like that. For example, infused leather or orichalcum. You can make this even easier if you click the drop down box and use the rare material, like scarhide or azurite or cinnabar. This is often much cheaper and easier to come by. I'm quite happy to see the days of making 3600 ironwood spears are behind us. It was a huge waste of time, materials, coin, and effort. Having it this way, where you can simply make one of everything, just feels better, and you're only required to invest a small fraction of what you did in the past. However, in this case, I still won't go as far as saying it's cheap. Getting from 180 to 200 is still a bit costly, but it is nowhere near the burden it once was. So, now you're a 200 engineer. What's next? Well, first you need to gather all of the gear, trophies, and items to maximize your potential as an engineer. So first, let's have a quick look at the gear. Tier 4 variant of this set is now only obtainable from the aptitude crate patterns. However, the Tier 5 set can still be farmed. And for the helm, you will want to kill the Caminus Gate Lord, found in Caminus in the Great Cleave. For the chest, you will want to farm Mirepaw, found in the Congregation in Rakewater. For the gloves, you will want to farm the Lost Alchemist Crocs, found in Mosswater Berg in Rakewater. For the pants, Overseer Levy, found in Caminus in the Shattered Mountain. For the shoes, you will want to farm Isvari, found in Isvari's Isolation in Eden Grove. You of course will also need an earring with a +5 minimum engineering crafting item quality on it. These have been changed slightly to drop far less in the world. However, the Orichalcum engineering charm is very cheap on the market and can be used at your outfitting station to craft your own earring by adding it into the desired mod slot. This earring can be low level and quality, none of this matters. You will only be wearing it to craft and all that's important from it is the +5 engineering. Next up, trophies. You will of course want to have your 3 major engineering trophies. These aren't quite as important as the armor set, as they do not increase your max potential roll on crafting. They simply increase your minimum roll. So you can craft 600 gear score items without them. However, they will decrease your roll range, giving you, along with everything else, the desired 595 to 600 potential roll, decreasing your chances of rolling purples and increasing your chances at rolling legendaries. And finally, the food. As an engineer, when you craft, you are always going to want to have herb-crusted vegetables on hand, as these provide you with the needed +15 minimum gear score when you craft engineered items. Now, of course you will want to have all of these things, but do not think for a second your engineering skill was a waste of time or there's no point until you have them. Unlike other professions, engineers are in a unique position to make a ton of coin with the very base entry of only the skill and nothing more. First, the proficiency potion. Everyone wants these for obvious reasons, and they sell for a decent amount of coin ranging from 150 to 300 per depending on the daily supply and demand. But even better, you make tools, and as many of you know, the gear score on tools has little to no impact on how it performs, other than the tier of course. But over 500, very little is affected, so you can easily craft tools like fishing rods, mining picks, and skinning knives that will have the potential to be worth thousands of coin depending on the perk rolls, with little to no investment while you're on your journey to mastering your engineering capability by collecting the things that you require. Okay guys, that just about covers it for the new engineering guide. I hope it helps all of you out there who've been asking if my old one was still up to date and when I was going to be posting a new one. And as always guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.